Howdy, I'm Christopher Herrington, Director of Fairfax County's Department of Public Works and Environmental Services. I'm here today with our Director of Capital Facilities, Carey Needham, who at the end of this year will be retiring from Fairfax County after almost 4 decades of public service. To provide a little bit of insight into what Carey does every day for the people of Fairfax County as our Deputy Director, I'd like to do what we are calling a realistic job preview. So let's get started. So Carey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning, Chris.
Awesome. So in addition to being a critical member of our Department of Public Works and Environmental Services executive team, our departmental contracting officer, you manage about 200 positions within our capital facilities business area, working across a wide range of disciplines, delivering wastewater and stormwater and all kinds of building projects for Fairfax County and everything that goes along with that, land acquisition, contracting, inspections, surveying, for projects for which we have a total project estimate. All of those projects together cost about $3.4 billion, so a huge portfolio. So tell us, Carey, what does a typical day in the life of a Capital Facilities Deputy Director look like?
Well, I'm not sure there is a typical day. Every day is pretty exciting and pretty different and pretty diverse. There's a lot of different things that go on any given day. When I come to work each day, the first things that kind of guide me in my day is our mission in capital facilities, which is to provide Fairfax County with quality, cost-effective buildings and infrastructure in a safe, timely, and environmentally sound manner. And also our capital facilities and public works values that steer the way we do things the right way. I have 8 direct reports. I've got 4 in the project program area and 4 in the budget, administrative, safety, and contracting areas. So every day I come to work, I know that I've got to interface and be there for those 8 direct employees and all the different things that they do. And then there's some regular recurring meetings that are on my calendar on a recurring basis. There's the weekly or bi-weekly management and leadership team meetings for capital facilities and for the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services. And there's a whole series of monthly status report meetings for our projects, our capital projects, one meeting each month for each program area, wastewater, stormwater, transportation, et cetera. Then there's a whole group of capital facilities teams that I have generally convened and tend to be the leader of. And those periodic meetings are on my calendar and I play different roles. Sometimes I attend, sometimes I'm set the agenda and facilitate the meeting and take the notes, but there's typically 5 or 6 different capital teams for process improvement and to proceed with our progress on our strategic initiatives. Another major area of my work that regular recurring is contracting, working through contract strategy and standard processes and refining those processes, reviewing projects to sign off for bid authorizations, dealing with claims, mainly from contractors, claims and appeals and maybe mediation, reviewing contracts strategies with our teams to figure out the best way to go about contracting. And another key part is almost every day there are contract actions that have got to be approved and authorized in the CPMIS or DocuSign system to keep the contracting flow moving forward. And then there's the area of our CAP operations. And there's a number of things that go on a pretty steady stream of things in CAP operations. And that's, our HR and employee relations areas and making sure that we're getting the right best answers and resolutions to employee issues. Our budget work, capital and operating budget, a lot of decisions and information flow in the budget area, workforce planning, and then our CAP policies. There's always a number of CAP policies and guidelines that tend to need to be addressed and refined for our staff. And then a few other areas are land acquisition. There's always something going on with land acquisition in terms of process or trying to get land rights to support our projects. A lot of regulatory agency review and coordination or coordination with those agencies, and that can be LDS, Department of Planning and Development, VDOT, and many, many others. There's a lot of ongoing coordination and dialogue with our stakeholders and customers, wastewater treatment, wastewater collection, park authority, housing, FCDOT, the county attorney, purchasing, all those different groups we have a regular coordination role with. And then there tends to be a flow of strategizing and decision making for some of our major projects like Tyson's West and some of our joint development activities in BD/CD that need to be managed and guidance provided in those areas. And then the last couple of things that are really, really important parts of my typical day is walking around and talking to our team, whether it's on Teams or in the office place, touching base with them, seeing how things are going, encouraging them, recognizing them for their work. And then, the theme for my day every day is I get to come to work with a great group of people, outstanding great group of people, and we make progress, we tackle problems, and we can see progress every day. So that's part of what makes it a great job.
Awesome. So that's a lot going on every single day. And as you know, we used a survey to elicit questions from all of Public Works about, what would they like to know about you and your position? And one theme that was very frequent in the responses was about prioritization. And no surprise, right? Because you're constantly juggling all of those different priorities across this huge range of projects and new problems every day, as well as, just the normal day-to-day activities of keeping the lights on. So as our deputy director, as you talked about, employee engagement, strategic planning, management, everything that comes with being our contracting officer. So tell us, what factors do you consider, or how do you go about prioritizing how you spend your time here at work?
Yeah, there is definitely a lot going on every day. It's a little overwhelming. It's kind of a whirlwind on the typical day. And so time management and prioritization are critical skill sets to have to be able to do this job successfully. There's a lot of things on the to-do list that come from a lot of different places. And some of the key factors to me that I consider and take into account in trying to manage all the things that need to get done are, who is asked for action? Who do we need to respond to? Is it the Board of Supervisors? Is it the County Executive's Office? Is it my boss, the DPWES Director, asking for things? Is it staff that needs answers to keep projects moving? But where is the ask coming from? And that aids in prioritization of, how high on the priority list do we need to place those things? Do I need to place those things? What's the timeline to be able to assimilate and compile the information to respond to those different things on the to-do list? Are they longer term? Do we have a little more time? And is there more analysis? Or is it kind of a relatively short, quick answer that can be responded to fairly quickly? And sequencing those things out. So I have, a to-do list, I prioritize it, and I kind of think in my mind, it's almost like a project CPM schedule in terms of how much float time, and when there's more work and a little bit of float time before we have to deliver the answer or conclude the issue. Delegation is a really, really important thing, delegating and empowering our staff to kind of help prepare these responses. And I always think, do I even need to put my fingers and hands on the response, or can I delegate it to staff and let them respond? And many of those things, we can do that, but communicating timelines and progress with the people that have requested something from us, and the same thing in terms of tracking progress and expectations for deadlines with staff are some of the important things that I consider and implement in trying to manage these issues. I always have a pretty healthy to-do list any given day, and it's always good when I can knock a few of those things off the to-do list and deliver on tasks and deadlines. Somehow at the end of each day, even when I do that, the list seems to be longer by the end of the day. So it's continuous juggling. And, a lot of the things on the list are things that I put on the list that I think I'd like or want to do. And sometimes patience is really important. Sometimes a little bit of time, I realize some things on that list maybe weren't that important, maybe get overcome by events. So a little bit of patience and judiciousness in the management of how you tackle and prioritize that list is important.
Yeah, absolutely. We've faced some really tough spots in our time together. We've had accidents at construction sites, significant ones. We've had some political challenges that we've had to work through. We've had some difficulties in coordination with some of those external agencies that we rely on for those approvals to be able to execute the critical infrastructure projects that you deliver for Fairfax County. So what are some of those, the biggest challenges, that you've faced and overcome in your career? And do you think that will be any different going into the future for your successor?
Yeah, there's always challenges, and there's a recurrence of some pretty major challenges, but that's why we're here, is to tackle and address those challenges. So I think that it's a mix. Tomorrow is always going to bring new and different challenges. I mean, it's a very dynamic place we work and a world we live in, and some of the themes will continue to recur. Some of the current challenges will continue, on into next year, I would imagine, and I think. But some of the areas that I've seen that are challenging is, some of the board's policies that they have passed down and asked us to implement on their behalf. Some of those have been a challenge for us to get our arms around. The project labor agreement, which was the first one by a public body in the state of Virginia, was quite a challenge. The prevailing wage ordinance that we recently implemented in all of our construction projects was a pretty big challenge. And then some of the board's policies around sustainability and LEED certifications and net zero energy for our projects, which are great policies, very aggressive, and they create a challenge trying to comply with those policies. So that arena of board policies can be a challenge. You referenced some of our major construction projects, and I think you mentioned before the prospect of some of these, larger, complex change order claims from our contractors. That, occasionally those escalate into appeals and in some occasions to mediation and court filings against us. So those are always a really, really important part of the work that we do, and they're always challenging because they wouldn't get to mediation if there was an easy answer. So those are always a challenging thing. You mentioned some of the accidents we've had on some of our construction projects. They're pretty rare,
Right.
and we've been successful in resolving those in a safe manner and keeping our projects on track. But we have seen those, and those are always a top priority and urgency, especially when there's any issue of safety in mind. Another challenge that we see is some of the creative contracting and agreement approaches to complex development agreements with private entities, other government agencies and private entities, joint development. How do we implement, use the tools of the public procurement process creatively to be able to implement those joint developments within the law and within the Code of Virginia. And it's a great challenge. It's exciting. I always enjoy that work, but it is hard work, and it's a challenge. Another challenge that will continue, I think, and we'll see on into the future, is the high vacancy rate that we've seen continue to see, and that's a challenge in our workforce. Retention and attrition with our workforce is a big challenge. Another one is community engagement, where we have critical public infrastructure work that needs to get done, oftentimes not well received in terms of the impact on the community, and that community interaction and engagement to try to appease the opposition to our projects. And then the last one on my list that I would reference is, it's the current dynamic kind of post-COVID and the telework world in terms of trying to keep our workforce and our employees connected, a sense of place and belonging, keeping them engaged and getting to know one another. And it's a real challenge, and I know we're taking some steps to try to address that, but that's a real and important challenge for our workforce.
Right. After almost 4 decades of service delivering that huge range of projects, police stations, fire stations, libraries, stream restoration projects, right? Everything that we've talked about, you were literally part of the group that built Government Center, where we're sitting here today, all the way through to negotiating that first project labor agreement for a local government in the state of Virginia. You've done a lot. And so one of the other questions and themes that came out from our employee survey is, I really wanted to know, what are some of those special skills, abilities, key knowledge that you think are critical to being successful in our Deputy Director over Capitol facility?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. And after all my time here, it's not as complex, and there's not really a silver bullet kind of thing. It's more simple than most people might think. So what I've learned over my career in that area of kind of the skill sets and the knowledge to help the person in my position do the job well. I always go back to trust the process, right? The Code of Virginia, our SOPs, our contracting procedures, all of those things, they work. Our contracts work well, our SOPs work well. And if we follow those things, it won't be easy. There'll be challenges, but things work out well because we do things the right way. trust the process. That would be one of the key pieces of advice I'd say for my job. And kind of with that, I would say trust in our values. As an organization, we have really important values: honesty, integrity, communication, respecting others, doing things the right way. And if all of us, our teams, follow those values, it makes things work out better. And so those are simple, but really, really important concepts. A couple of things that I've learned through the course of my career that I maybe didn't always do super well or recognize, but trying to stay positive and constructive in the face of challenges and diverse staff and diverse issues. Positive coaching, constructive feedback, those type of things. Right. And then another different area is I've learned a lot over my career in the last 15 years about sustainability, lead, and now envision, and those things have served me and I think our organization very well because they're important factors. Right. I remember many years ago, a former board chairman, Catherine Hanley, used to say, "Remember who signs your paycheck." And I think that's great advice. Again, it's pretty simple, but we work for Fairfax County. Our job, my job when I come to work every day, is to do what is best for Fairfax County and to be fiscally responsible and make good decisions with the taxpayers' money. So I think that's, simple but very, very important advice. Some of my predecessors and I ascribe to this concept, again, very simple. It's the concept of treating people fairly, treating everybody fairly, and when we make difficult decisions, give it the test: is it fair and reasonable? Are we being fair and reasonable? We work for Fairfax County. We represent the citizens, but we deal with a lot of different entities and we make decisions, best interests of Fairfax, but fair and reasonable with our partners as well. And then the last thing I think that I'm not sure I always had in this position and maybe previous positions, but the belief and the confidence in what we do and the way we do it, right? We do things the right way. We are doing good. We follow the book. We follow the rules, and we make the right decisions for the right reasons, and believe in that and have confidence in that.
Right. I know I will certainly miss you when you do retire at the end of the year, and I very much have enjoyed now almost 4 years of us working together, and we've had some fun delivering those critical services for the people of Fairfax County. We've exchanged some country music tips and some racing tips from time to time. So, reflecting back over your career, what are some of your favorite memories of Capital Facilities and DPWS, and what do you think you're going to miss the most when you retire at the end of the year?
Yeah, you might get me choked up here, Chris. It's been a long time, and it's a great place to work, and I've loved it. I tell people a lot the story that I came to work for Fairfax County over 38 years ago. I was early in my engineering career. I was an engineer, and I came to Fairfax County because I could earn $17,000 a year doing engineering work, designing storm drainage projects, and that was a big pay raise for me at the time, $17,000 a year. And I always remember when I came to orientation with the county for benefits and that type of thing 38 years ago, and I told the lady doing the benefits training, I don't need retirement. I'm not interested in retirement, and I don't need health benefits because I ain't going to be here long, right? And so it was a few years, and I came to realize what a great place to work it is. Public Works, Capital Facilities, it is a great place to work. For a lot of reasons. The people that I get to come to work with in Capital Facilities, in Public Works, and in the county, but it's such a great group of people, hardworking, committed, dedicated, incredible colleagues. And it is a lot of fun. It doesn't always seem that way in the moment of the issue, but we do have fun together. Things tend to be a little funnier in retrospect, and we might talk about a couple of those things in a little bit. But the people are incredible, the camaraderie here, and then being able to come to work every day and solve problems, real problems, see tangible progress, right? We see projects progress from a CIP vision in somebody's eye to trying to plan it out, try to overcome community opposition sometimes, design it, get permits, get into construction, and then deal with construction challenges. And any given year, Capital Facilities completes between 75 and 100 capital projects valued at, you know, $200 or $300 million. And those projects each year are visible all around Fairfax County. I grew up here in Fairfax County, and I drive, my family still lives here, and I can drive all around Fairfax County, and all of us who work here can see the fruits of our labor. And it's not just the fruits of our labor, it's the fruits that benefit the community of Fairfax County all around us. And that's incredibly rewarding to see as somebody that comes to work and does that work every day. So I think, you know, the people first, the great people of Public Works and Capital Facilities, the work we get to do, the accomplishments, and the tangible benefits we see for the community out on the streets. And they're byproducts, you know, that's the core, but it's always great to be kind of validated. And we have trophy cases full of awards where our work in Capital Facilities and Public Works is recognized by a lot of different prestigious organizations with project awards. And that's always gratifying to see that. And, you know, another thing that I'm really, really proud of is the list of all of the LEED certified and now the growing list of Envision certified. You know, I always contend that we probably have as impressive a program of LEED sustainable projects and now a growing program of Envision certified projects as probably any locality in the country. It's incredible, and I'm very proud of that. And so, you know, there's a lot of things that I'll miss when I retire from Public Works, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And we certainly will miss you, but you do leave that legacy of all of those achievements that you and your team have accomplished. And, you know, in our time together and coming from Texas, the land of the tall tale, right, I appreciate a good raconteur, and no one on the executive team can tell a story as good as you. So, Carey, you know, is there a favorite story or something else that you would like to leave us with here today?
There's a lot of stories. Everybody knows I like to tell a story. And there's a couple, and some of them are funny, some of them are ironic, some are just, you know, humorous and reflection. One that sticks out in my mind is several years ago when we were building a very, very important commuter parking garage out in the Herndon area to support the Silver Line Phase 2 to Dulles. We had about half of the precast parking structure erected, and then some of the folks working on the job site realized that there was some cracking in the precast, and when that was investigated, they realized that a couple of the columns and foundations had settled a little bit, like an inch or so, maybe less than an inch. And it was very unnerving. We weren't sure what was going on and what had happened, so we issued a stop work and had to do a lot of, you know, evaluation and analysis, and we took steps to stabilize the foundations in question to stop any further settlement. So it was, you know, stabilized, and then there was a lot of follow-up work to correct it and go forward. But while all that was going on, it was obviously a high-profile project to support rail to Dulles, and it was a race to get that rail line up and running, and a race to get our garage completed. And then when we issued a stop work order, it made it out into the community and the press, and everybody picked up on that. And the press began to dub it as the sinking garage, which is, still unnerves me to hear that, right? Our job here is to reassure the public. And so out in social media world and those type of places, it was termed the sinking garage. And of course, from my perspective, it was stabilized and it was not sinking. Right. And I always remember reading social media. There was an article, an online article in Reston, and the gentleman commented on the article, and he said, you know, I went to work this morning and I parked on level 2, and when I came back after work, my car was on level 1. And I told folks, I said, that's funny. Even as bad as this is, even that's funny. So anyway, that was my job, was to dispel that, you know, urban legend that we had a sinking garage. So we had a transportation reporter from one of the local channel 4, 5, or 7, I can't remember who he was from, and he came in and interviewed us, and he wanted to talk about the sinking garage, and he came in the door with that label, and I started the interview by saying, let me be very clear about one thing. This garage is not sinking. And we went through the whole interview and enumerated all the steps we'd taken and all the data. And then we finished the interview, and I said, hey, before you leave, there's one more thing I need to say. We're clear. That garage is not sinking. Got it? Clear? Done. Not a sinking garage. I felt pretty damn good about myself. Got up, packed my bags, went home at the end of the day. Felt pretty accomplished, sat down in front of my TV when I got home, kicked back and relaxed after turned on the 6 o'clock news, and the storyline for the next segment says, coming up, an update on the sinking garage. So you do your best. So yeah, that was one of the more humorous stories. Quickly, one of the ironic stories that kind of amuses me, I'll tell you, totally different thing is, and I talked about trust the process. So we have a construction contract written by very good lawyers, honed over 40 years, and that construction contract protects public works. It's fair, it's reasonable, but it does protect our interests and Fairfax County's interests. And it's always interesting to me that I would say 95% of our contractors who sign that contract never read that contract, and we work with it every day, and we know what it says. And so when we get into claims and mediation, we pull out all the terms and conditions of that contract, and we don't go to claims, or we don't go deny claims and go to mediation unless we feel pretty strongly in our position around that contract. And having gone down the road a few times with contractors, you know, the recurring theme when we get to the mediation stage with contractors, because they have tended not to read that contractor, as our lawyers read the requirements of the contractor. And I can still hear it in my ears, our outside counsel going through a mediation presentation to a contractor bullet by bullet, and going through the, you know, the substance of the claim issue, and the ending statement each one is, and you will lose. And that's been a recurring theme with almost every one of our mediation and court cases with contractors. It's not a guarantee that's going to happen, but because of our process and because of our contracts and doing things the right way, that tends to be where we end up in those things. And so I always find that kind of ironic in looking back on those things. So.
Thank you, Carey. Thank you for taking the time and sharing some of your experiences with us today. I appreciate all the work that you have done. You have been such a leader for us in terms of sustainability, in terms of, just as you exactly described, making sure that we are responsible stewards of the huge amount of money that the taxpayers of Fairfax County entrust us with to deliver those critical infrastructure projects. So thank you very much, and we absolutely will miss you very much when you go on to that next adventure. And thank you to everyone who in Public Works who helped provide some of the questions for this. And so if you would like to join us as one department in creating and preserving a sustainable Fairfax County, then we'd love to have you on our team. Thank you very much. I'm Chris Herrington, Director of Public Works and Environmental Services for Fairfax County, Virginia.